As I was thinking this morning, it came to mind that none of us gets anywhere or has anything without mentors. And over the years, I've had many to whom I'm very grateful. I think of some sayings that I heard early on. My primary mentor, Starker, said, "They all stand on your shoulders. Take your teaching really, really very seriously." A colleague at CIM, David Cerrone, who was the dean there, said, "Help them dream. They have to dream." And I think that's really very important too. One thing that really dominates every day is that each day is a gift. Try to do what you can with it. In these times of pandemic, we're limited. And so walking and practicing and staying separate and having an optimistic point of view is really very important. But as I think back, one more inspiration that I remember from way, way back, my teacher in Lawrence, Kansas, where I grew up at the University of Kansas, was Raymond Stuhl, S-T-U-H-L. He and his wife created a kind of an oasis of cello and music in general. And what he said to me was, remember, work in and of itself can be beautiful. And I think that's very important as we think about making music, because so much of it, yes, is inspiration, and so much of it, yes, is unexplainable, and you almost can't talk about it, but an awful lot of it is sheer work, being able to penetrate the activity that you're trying to engage in. So as I think of my mentors and my inspirations, I think of my very first cello teacher, who went through so much with me because I was such a kind of unknowing and unwilling student. And that man taught me shortly after the Second World War. He flew supplies from Burma into China during the Second World War, and then came back and started teaching primary school. And he was my first inspiration, and he did get to see me play with the Eastman Piano Quartet many, many years later, and I'm sure he couldn't have seen that I would have advanced that much, and I think he was happy to see that. The next real inspiration was Raymond Stuhl, who taught me about work, who taught me about the elegance and beauty of music, and taught me a certain persistence in achieving things. Don't give up. He also taught me a lot about teaching by example, because he loved to teach, and he had so many students, and he gave so much. He and his wife both. Next, interestingly enough, was Starker, and he was perhaps the most profound influence on me, and I'm going to talk at length about him later. But we became really very special, close friends, and I'm forever grateful to him, and miss him a great deal. Another mentor, interestingly enough, was Roy Harris. I took a class in contemporary music at Indiana University from Roy Harris, and if you Google him, he was a well-known composer, studied with Nadia Boulanger, was kind of a contemporary of Copland, and wrote a number of symphonies. He was really good. And from him, I can remember being in Puerto Rico at Inter-American University, and he said, "I'm going to teach you some composition." And so we were on the porch of his house looking out over Monte del Estado, a valley with a big mountain behind it, and he talked about Nadia Boulanger, and all the things that she thought were important as far as composition is concerned. I learned so much about music, about why it sounded like it did, from those informal lectures with him just kind of skying as he talked to me. And it was really an inspiration. The next inspiration was Walter Handel, a well-known conductor. He was also a pianist, famous conductor at the time. I had auditioned for the Rochester Philharmonic and had gotten in, and he called me up. I was teaching at a little town in Ohio, and he said, I'm going to be conducting a performance with the Pittsburgh Symphony in your town, and I would like to have you play for me. And of course I was dumbfounded. He said, because I'm thinking about hiring you at the Eastman School of Music. And my jaw dropped, of course. Anyway, he came to town. I auditioned for him. He said, play this, play that, play the other. Unfortunately, I was able to do it. And through the early times at Eastman, he was a great inspiration because he was really a great conductor. The next one was Ronald Leonard, absolutely wonderful cellist who was principal at LA for many, many years, and principal at the RPO. I sat on a stand with him for several years here, and played chamber music with him and with his wife, Norma. He was an absolutely wonderful colleague and supported me in my early years of teaching to a really great degree. He's about 4 years older than I am. He's still doing all right in California, but I'll be forever grateful to him. He also got me into Aspen Music Festival, for which I'm ever grateful. I was there for 39 or 40 years. Next was the Eastman Piano Quartet, Miller Taylor, Francis Tercy, Frank Glazer. I played with them for 7 or 8 years, and they supported me so much. There's no way that I can be grateful enough to them. We played scores and hundreds of concerts, and I learned from everyone. We made some recordings. There's a recording of the Ives Trio, and actually we recorded all the chamber music of Ives in one way or another. And it was a really great education for me. But most of all, I remember their support, their encouragement, their honesty, their expectations. And to respond to that really meant an awful lot to me. My first years in Eastman in 1965, I think I was 28 when I came here. I can remember when I first walked into the front hall of Eastman, and I swear the thing that went through my mind was, I wonder when they're going to find out that I don't belong here. And that began a wonderful career for a young guy, playing with wonderful colleagues, playing in a fine orchestra, actually, and playing chamber music at a level both at Eastman and on tour and at Aspen with colleagues that were absolutely unbelievable.